Hi guys, it's Melissa here with Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. I wanted to talk to you today about differing opinions. So, this is a topic that comes up a lot, especially if you are on Facebook and especially during the political climate that we have today. You'll notice that a lot of people have differing opinions. And what I think is so interesting is that we, for some reason, tend to have this false idea that everyone shares the same opinion as we do. We really tend to think that everyone thinks the way that we do, and that's just simply not true. So we assume that a lot of times, and people will post something political on Facebook, and it can have to do with anything. It could be about gun control, or it could be about the current president, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's all the same. The reactions are the same. So someone posts some opinion they have about a particular topic, and then someone else, it's like you triggered something within them that they start calling someone else names and acting like it was the end of the world that you had that opinion and that you must be the dumbest person that ever walked the face of the earth, and then start just attacking people. And I'm always amused, not in a good way, but I mean, just maybe I misspoke there. I'm not amused necessarily. I'm always intrigued. Maybe intrigued is a better word. I'm intrigued by what happens with that. It's human behavior, you know? Someone posts something and you don't agree, so you immediately start calling someone else names. What is that all about, anyway? I mean, it seems like something really deep within that person was triggered because personally, I think we can have a difference of opinion. In fact, I think having different opinions is what makes our country great. I may not always agree with what you say, but I can argue my point without personally attacking you and calling you stupid. Like, I don't have to say that you're the dumbest person that ever walked the face of the earth. I can just give facts and state that this is why I believe what I believe. And, if you want to rebut that, that's fine. You can talk about what you believe and why you believe what you believe. But I think there's so many people walking around today who are just so stuck in their belief and they don't want to see anything from anyone else's point of view. And that's not great. Like, we should not be walking around with only one point of view because, first of all, our point of view is usually shaped by our environment and what we are raised to believe growing up. And I will be the first person to tell you that I do not believe the same things now that I believed when I was 12 or when I was 18, because my life experience has shaped what I believe. When I got out there in the real world, when I went to college, when I got a job, when I traveled, especially traveling, when I traveled, it caused me to see things from a new perspective. When you are only from the same area and you never get outside of that area and you don't read anything and you don't do anything, it's hard for you to see something from a different perspective because you don't know any better. But it's so important for us to be able to step out of ourselves and to see what it's like from someone else's point of view. I mean, nothing would ever change if we all thought the same way and never tried to expand our minds and never tried to see things from other people's perspectives. It's like having, and we deal with this all the time, it's like having people put in the position of being in charge of education who have never been teachers, who have never been in administration. They were students at one time, and that's their only perspective for education. They'll say, well, I went to school. That makes me qualified. No, it doesn't. So, that would be like saying, well, I went to a bank one time and withdrew money, so now I am totally qualified to be the CEO of this bank. That's ridiculous. Yet that's what happens in our society so many times. People get put into positions who have absolutely no idea what they're doing, have no experience, and they come with their limited point of view, and they are not representing all of the people. And that's the bad thing. if you come to the table thinking that you're going to have your opinion and that's the only opinion that matters, you're not truly representing everyone and you're not representing all of the people. And that's probably one of the biggest issues I've had with organized religion. There are so many religions out there. Who's to say what is right? You know, what's right for you may not be right for me, it may not be right for someone else. But if there's so many different religions, how can only one be the right one? That's ridiculous, right? It's impossible. And I'm not trying to offend anyone. If you're a certain religion, you know, that's great. But it just never made sense to me that if you are, you know, born of one religion and someone else says that religion is wrong and we don't recognize that religion, like, how is that possible? There's so many different religions out there. Who's to say what's right and what's wrong? You have to know what resonates with you, and you can't tell somebody else that what they believe is wrong. And so this whole idea of being able to have a difference of opinion and still coexist is so interesting, and it's so essential, yet so many of us can't do that. Think about all of these rallies we have and protests because people don't share the same opinion. It gets violent when others come to this and want to protest the protest, which in and of itself seems really silly as well. It's like, what are we doing now? But you just have to know that you're not always right. And your opinion isn't always the one, and there doesn't have to only be one opinion. And sometimes we can come to a compromise. Why are we always so hell-bent on saying, no, what I believe is right and what you believe is wrong? I have family members who share a difference of opinion. We don't agree on everything. I still love them just the same. I don't agree with them. I don't get in their face and tell them I don't agree with them, but I don't agree with them. But it's okay. We don't have to agree. What's good for me may not be good for someone else. The amazing thing about it is we live in such a vast world, we don't have to agree. And we can still coexist. Where I have a problem is when others try to force their opinion on someone else or say, no, you're wrong and I'm not going to hear your side. We need to learn to be more open-minded. And yeah, someone will say, oh, there's a joke, if you're so open-minded your brains fall out. That also makes me mad when people say that. It's so ridiculous. Yes, you should be open-minded. Why would you be narrow-minded and closed-minded? How much are you missing out on if you don't hear all sides? It would be like someone deciding that they were only going to eat chicken every day for the rest of their lives because they'd never had anything else and they weren't going to try anything else because their way of life was the correct way. What would you be missing out on if you did that? You could never have steak, which is obviously better than chicken in my opinion. But you know what I mean? It's like you're closing yourself off to so many things that could be awesome. And I think it really does start and stem from not having life experience. Because when you get out there and you travel the world and you see things from other points of view, you realize just how vast this world is and how many different religions and cultures and opinions there are. We could be learning so much from other countries about a lot of things, as well as those countries learning from us. But if you're going to be closed-minded and say that we're the only ones who are right, this is the only opinion that matters, that's so wrong. You should not come to this with a closed mind. You need to hear the other side and just imagine what it would be like. It's like with all the protests going on for, Black Lives Matter. And some people get so offended and, they'll say, well, if you're kneeling, that's disrespectful. But it's not. The fact that we have the right to protest if we want to is amazing. because a lot of other countries don't have that right. Their citizens don't have the right to protest if they feel like it. Their citizens, if they gather to protest, get beaten with sticks and get shot at. We have the actual right to protest if we don't agree with something. And you don't have to agree with it, but understand that that's someone's right. And to recognize that, yeah, it's not equal here. There are still people who don't get treated like first-class citizens, and that's not right. You don't have to agree with every single thing, but ask yourself this. What is it you don't agree with? Have you really, really heard the story? Or are you just going by news that's probably biased, that's probably not 100% unbiased? Or are you really doing your research? Are you really educating yourself and hearing it from the truth? Listening to what the people who don't have the same opinion as you are saying? Because I feel like a lot of things could really be cleared up if we actually just educated ourselves. Some of us are only seeing taglines from news stories, and we are getting so worked up and upset over it when we don't even have all of the facts. And I'm not here to tell you that you should believe one thing or another, or one way or another, because as I said, it's your opinion, it's your belief, it's your right to believe what you choose. But are you being open-minded about what others believe? Or are you just saying no and brushing it off without even hearing what's really going on? I feel that a lot of the arguing in our country has to do with miscommunication. Just like in a text, it's really hard to tell someone's intent and tone from a text. I can send a text to you and say, "Did you get this?" And you might hear it as, "Did you get this?" which is accusing and sounds angry. Or it could just be, "Hey, did you get this?" And it's not that, but you didn't hear it that way. I think that a lot of our news stories are created to skew our opinions one way or the other and not factually based, because that sells more stories than actually just telling the truth does. So what if you actually tried to find the truth and just listened to what was really going on and just tried to have an open mind? Maybe your opinion wouldn't change, and that's fine. And even if your opinion doesn't change, do you have to hate the people that you don't agree with? Because I feel like I can disagree with people and still love them. In fact, I know I can, because I do it every day. I don't agree with all of my family members, but I love them all immensely. So why can't we do that with people in the world? Why does it have to be all or nothing? Can't we agree to disagree and love one another, regardless of our opinions, and try to work around it? It's just some food for thought. Trying to move forward and maybe just creating a little more peace and positivity in our lives. Instead of being so upset all the time about everything we don't understand, trying to understand things, learn, and be better. It's just something to think about. I hope that you will think about your stance, about your differences of opinion. Think about people and topics you don't agree with, and decide to investigate a little further and maybe realize you don't have to agree. We can still get along. We can coexist. Because that's what this world is all about. everyone having the same opinion would be boring. What can we learn from each other today? Well, I have learned a lot from you all, and I am so thankful and grateful for each and every one of you. I hope that you have a massively beautiful day. I am sending you love, peace, and light, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.